Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Azure podcast with your host Sam Foote.
And Anne Armstrong.
If you're new here, we're a pair of Azure and Microsoft 365 focused IT security professionals.
It's episode 2 of season 7. Sam and I are about to discover and understand Microsoft's new Entra Account Recovery feature. We will dive into the impact around account recovery on helpdesks, as well as diving into self-service password reset and the differences with account recovery. We will also look into the key benefits and how to get it set up.
We've noticed that a large number of you aren't subscribed. If you do enjoy our podcast, please do consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to us for you to show your support to the show.
It's going to be a good episode, so let's dive in.
Hey Alan, how are you this week?
Hey Sam, not doing too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Really good. Any news from your world over the past couple of weeks?
I guess we should. I should probably apologise for not having an episode last week due to
Alan,
network issues.
Yes, Alan had network issues. I forgot. I was gonna jump in and say like how lazy you were or whatnot, but no, it wasn't. I think I might have called it. I think you actually said, "Shall we record?" And I was like, "No, you've been through enough turmoil this week," basically. For listeners, Alan probably has the most unlucky experience with Ubiquiti networking equipment I think I've ever known from anybody, right? But we got you sorted in the end, didn't we? So with a bit of hackery.
Yeah, just my Dream Machine special edition just died, just after work. Yeah,
it was quite special, and. Yeah,
the world ending with the kids. There's no internet. We can't watch YouTube. We can't watch. I think it's Danger Dan they're watching at the moment on YouTube.
And your doorbell.
Oh, on the doorbell. The doorbell's still broken at the moment, but we won't go down that.
It's quite clear that Alan doesn't practice what he preaches in his professional life around disaster recovery and high availability. So
I do now.
There's nothing like an incident to really get the motivation going. But yeah, like you say, the first thing that happens, no networking. The first thing is why won't what's going on with Netflix, etc. Right?
Automation stopped, lights stopped coming on and off.
Yeah, and that's it. And that you're so reliant, aren't you? It's crazy. And we had that issue, didn't we, with our ISP and the peering to Microsoft that time, right? These things can. So we had this issue where you couldn't log into any Microsoft services, could you? There was a peering issue or something with our ISP. Or something, yeah. And Al and I are both on the same ISP, so I sort of rang out and I said, "Are you having issues like logging into Microsoft? But I can't see anything." So it wasn't their issue; it was like an us thing. And there's so many like points in the chain, isn't there? Where things can break. And it's just waiting for disaster, basically.
Yeah, I mean, in that scenario, you were my next call because you beat me to it. Because I was just checking everything on my network before harassing you about. Did you have you got an issue? So
I did everything. I did everything properly. I went to the service status. I couldn't get into the portal because that didn't work, but I could get to the service page. I checked X because there's usually lots of grumpy people there when things go bad. Checked Reddit. Couldn't see anything. No noise anywhere. And I was like, right, I've got to ask Alan. And you're like, yep, I was just about to ring you. So yeah, no. It is, it's been a bit exciting, I would say. It's the start of 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what are we talking about this week, Alan?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the preview of Account Recovery, or Entra Account Recovery.
Yes. Yeah, Account Recovery. Yeah, a common topic for a lot of system administrators, right? So yeah, it's this is new functionality, isn't it, or refreshed functionality that you're going to be talking about today?
It's new. It's
okay.
It's a scenario that I would say I've had problems with as well.
Okay.
And when we go through the scenarios, you'll understand what pain point it fixes.
Okay. Right. Okay. So can you take us from the start then? Real basic. What is account recovery? I suppose this is password resets we're talking about here. Personal work. What is it, and what is the problem that we're trying to solve?
Yeah. Okay. So everyone hopefully would have had to do, normally we've had to do, password recovery or, account recovery. Again, they may be interchanged, I suppose, at some point, kind of very similar, but from the Microsoft side, you understand why they're different in a minute. But, forgetting your password or I suppose it expiring or, just forgetting it, or it's been reset by somebody else, maybe. The account recovery or password recovery is, bringing up or going through a process, might be self-service, or in a large organization or an organization, ringing up your help desk to then ask for your password to be reset. Them doing, in some scenarios, doing a check to make sure it's you. In most cases, unless that doesn't happen, at which point your account gets passwords get reset, etc. So yeah, I mean, in essence, it's being able to then regain access to your account where whatever it might be. In the context of this episode, we're talking about Entra specifically, but in general, as it sounds, account recovery, we would have all done it at some point. Get you reset your password, or have to contact a help desk to say, hey, my account's locked out, can you unlock it, kind of thing. I think I've had it on some of my gaming accounts, things like that, where people have tried to hack it, and then it's been put into lockdown basically to prove who you are.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And that's the thing, this is a really quite sensitive process, isn't it, really, because we're talking about essentially going from no access to full control of somebody's account, via a recovery process, right? So it's a big, topic at the moment.
Yeah, and the other person, be it an email address, AI bot, whatever it might be, has to validate that it's you, because that's the whole point, kind of thing. So normally, you have to have, for some of these things, you have to have, be called up by the help desk, or you call the help desk to do that verification over the phone. You may have some questions, or they may have some base information, like I suppose like account validation at this point, isn't it? What's your postcode or zip code, first line of your address, the email address you use, your star sign, the name of your dog, whatever it might be. Just to try and validate that it is you. Again, some of that can be phished, of course, and that's maybe part of the problem as well. But generally, there's normally some stuff that hopefully only you know, because as we know, we try to get away from using question and answers now, because they can get phished quite easily from social media posts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. And what's the knock-on effect for help desks, for this process? So
I mean, if you haven't got something that's automated, then that could be the help desk being called up constantly for it. It depends on the size of the organization. If you're a team of 10 and there's only you got one admin, then it's probably not too much of a burden, because in theory probably won't happen too often, hopefully. But if you're 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 users, you've got to maybe increase the size of your help desk. And I think even from stats, I'm thinking when I used to work for the local authority, most things were password resets. I forgot my password, I can't get in. It's been, my account's locked out because I've tried my password wrong 3 times, and things like that. So, there's a big impact on, the time there and the efficiencies, because if you've got a help desk that maybe is not big enough to serve your organization, or it's because there's going to be peaks and troughs. So maybe you hit a busy period, after Christmas or after, the holidays, people might be ringing up going, I forgot my password that I used 3 weeks ago, people might be put into a queue to try and get that reset, which, waiting, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes may not seem like a lot, but that's 15 minutes that person's not working. If you think about the efficiencies there on productivity, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of impact there, I think,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, can you just take us through that process of, actual self-service password recovery?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If we talk about self-service password reset, which Azure AD Entra has always generally had, it's part of P1, that kind of thing. Let's just run through that quickly. I think we've done an episode I don't know if we might have done an episode in the past around that, probably some time ago. But yeah, in effect, Entra is able to do self-service password reset. You specify the authentication methods. So like, phone number, text message, call, authentication app, passwordless authentication, FIDO2 key, pass keys, etc. As well as an one-time password to your like secondary email address, because you can't do your primary because you're locked out of it. I think sometimes used to be able to use your work phone, which again might have been a Teams phone. So again, no good because you're locked out of the account. But yeah, Microsoft got that in place. You can set up to do self-service password reset, 2 authentications, authentication methods. It's all been merged now, hasn't it, Sam, into the authentication bit now? But
yeah,
really, really simple. Can set that up. Can say which users can and can't do it, as well. And yeah, the user goes to the website, provides the details, their user principal name or email address, passes the authentication methods, resets their password, and then it gets reset. And then, 5-10 minutes later, well, within sort of 5 minutes, if there's any replication stuff, then it's all reset and the user can get going. Because when they sign back in, they can use their MFA, because it's already been set up, to get back in, and then it's proving it's them. So really simple. And again, most users will be used to that sort of scenario because of personal consumption of, like I say, Facebook, X, etc., doing password resets on there. It's very similar process per se.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and we've had that for a long time, haven't we? That's been that's been a big thing. So what you're talking about this new Entra Account Recovery. How is it different? From that password recovery. I can't think of a reason to change it, I suppose.
So what happens, Sam, if you change your phone and forget to move your authenticators? How'd you do self-service password reset?
You don't. You go back to your admin, don't you? At that point, yeah.
Correct. Yep. And that's the primary use case for it. Is that you've lost your phone. It's been stolen. You can't get your MFA back. It's been your phone's been wiped and all that sort of stuff. It's all secure.
Losing your phone is probably a really good example of that, because that must happen.
Yep. Or changing your phone and you forget to move them over, or because you may literally swap and the authentication methods don't transfer, they're not backed up in some scenarios, or you think you've transferred them all, and then you wipe your phone, you sell it on, you return it back to your manufacturer for your trade-in, money back, etc., and then you go, oh, can't get into my work account. So, then you have to ring the help desk to say, hey, can you verify it's me? Can you reset all my MFA so I can get back in? Again, hitting a help desk, that's maybe not necessarily, not used to getting that type of interaction. So some of the scenarios that Microsoft got, and I'll talk about the account recovery bit, what it actually is and what it does. But I'll talk about, account recovery in this scenario. Some of the scenario. So primary use case. For SSPR, user forgets password but retains access to authentication methods. So that's what we were talking about. So SSPR makes sense. Where account recovery would be, is users lost access to all authentication methods. So that's what we just talked about, lost phone, switched phone, those sort of scenarios. So the aspect of authentication requirements. So SSPR, at least one registered authentication method, policy controlled, and you can do two. So I did talk about that just now. For account recovery, you've got nothing to prove who you are per se. Not something that is like a modern authentication, MFA sort of instance. Identity verification through certified partners. So I probably need to talk about what actually the Entra Account Recovery is. So as we said, this is around, you have nothing to prove within the tenant or within your Microsoft 365 that you are who you say you are, because you haven't got your authentication methods. What this does is this uses verified ID. I think we've done a brief episode on that, but in effect, this is a mechanism that if you set up verified ID, it's able to validate that it is you, and you can use third party or partner information to prove who you are, like a passport and that kind of thing. Government documents to prove who you are. And this is in effect, within those applications or within the verified ID, being able to use some other mechanisms to prove that it's you, and in effect allowing, being non-related to your company account. So in this scenario, they're using verified ID to talk to I think it's 3 partners at the moment, to be able to prove that prove your identity using passport, maybe driving license in the UK, possibly that kind of thing. And what it does is it's using that other bit of technology within verified ID, which is the face recognition. So verify ID by face. I don't think you could. But anyway, yes. So
yeah,
because Microsoft built that in, and there's been use cases for using the verify by ID, and using the face recognition stuff, because it's been very accurate. Now they're building in with these partners. So now, if you forget your MFA or you've lost it, you can now potentially, providing your organization has set it up, you can use this to recover your account. And that's usually like it, it's almost, I wouldn't say bulletproof, but you're using, government credentials to prove who you are, which tend to not be faked in most cases, kind of thing. So there's a lot of verification there, and that's used for getting into, getting into countries and things like that, isn't it? So it's got to be, it's pretty high standard there for that. So yeah, that's the authentication method for that service.
Okay, so you can basically rely on verified ID to act as a verification method, if you don't have any other form of identification.
Yeah, and if you think about the help desk, and we've seen some compromises recently that where people have got through the help desk and reset passwords, haven't we, or accounts.
Yeah.
So this takes out of the context of the help desk being the potentially the weak link in that process. Or the information they've got is, like I said, easily available through social engineering to phish. And I suppose if you look at it from a personal information perspective, they may have to have some information from your HR system to prove it's you. Like, like I said, like your postcode, your zip code, the first line, your house number, maybe, not everything, but snippets of information to be able to prove it who you are. You almost take that away from the equation as well. because it's all done on your phone, separate to the organization, trusted, mechanism and secure, to be able to then, recover your account.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, really good. Yeah, and sorry, I might have missed it, but is that process completely automated then? How?
Yeah.
So sorry. Just and I apologise if you did explain it.
No.
But if I say I use my government ID, how does it know it's actually me?
So what you have to do is you have to have verified ID set up in the organization. So you have a token in effect, I believe, on your verified ID has to be set up on the organization, and then in effect you start to set it up as you go through that recovery. What it does is when the partner sets up, I have to double check the whole config. Let me just look. But in effect, you set up a partner, you create groups, and let's just double check. Yeah, when they put the information in, let's just check. But in effect, because you put your company email address in, there must be something that ties you into who you are between that. It then does a verification. There was a thing, what I believe it was that they would use if you've got a picture on your work profile.
Yeah.
That is you and not something random. Because, you see that. Or the character, avatar of yourself, etc.
Clipping.
Clipping, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, if there was a scenario where it would use that to prove not to say prove who you are, but that would be used as well.
Right, okay.
So it's based on the property's first name, last name, that are in Entra, and then you have to prove, in effect, that it's you from that side.
Right, okay. So the tech is there to legitimize the document that you're showing it, and then it uses parameters from your profile or things that your organization has set up in order to help that automated verification process, essentially. So, okay. So your documentation is what magically binds to your profile.
Yeah, there will be something else in there, I think, when it gets set up.
Okay.
But yeah, in essence, it's using that information.
Okay.
And then when it's able to identify, or when you provide, a copy of your documentation, do you need to do that? I didn't think you did. I think it goes off, from what I remember, it goes off to the third party, matches you based on some of that information. You provide a little bit more. And then it does your face recognition on the phone, to verify, to get, in effect, build that profile. And then it looks at, your passport information, etc. So I think you would provide a passport number into there, then it will go off into the system, like potentially how the system would at an airport. I mean, I know they scan it, but in effect, it's a similar thing. And then from the back end system, it will do a verification based on, the metadata temporarily grabbed from your biometric sort of scan of your face to then verify it against the passport photo, as an example, or driving license, depending on which ones they support there. And then once it's verified it's you, then you're allowed to then go and set up your authentication methods.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so it's using some verifiable bit of information, face recognition, part of your profile, etc. And then, that is enough to unlock you into, setting up the rest.
Yeah, so in for the preview, They first verify the proof of presence by comparing the photo in the ID compared to the real-time face check.
Yeah.
Then they match the first name and last name for the user account against the verified government ID.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, there's If any of those are not an exact match, the account recovery doesn't complete.
Yeah,
These
and when
will
they
have to
do
ring
the
up the
face
help desk.
rack, don't they get you to like spin your face round and stuff like that, so you can't like fake it with like a printed picture of you,
Yeah.
you know, and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's cool then. You could at least say you went through a good bit of due diligence, right? Because if you ring up if you like WhatsApp your IT guy, he's not doing that, is he?
No. So
You know.
So what they said was that if there is multiple people with the same name, then it won't work because it won't know which account
Okay, yeah,
it is.
yeah, that's fair.
What they're
point,
saying is what you should do is synchronize with your HR system using JML process.
of course.
But add your once you're going through that, you can add custom attributes in there to be able to specify, users that are and aren't, part of the process.
Right. Okay.
Features small group.
I love how you just like just said that off the cuff. By the way, just integrate it with your JML process. Like that is.
Oh, it's easy. Yeah.
I know you didn't. I know you know it's not that, but it just made it sound like just link it in with your HR system. And there's
never an issue when you do that. Yes, it's as long as you're a one-person band, it's all good.
You just need to know your single source of truth.
Single source of truth. HR needs to be up to date with all the information correctly, and you need to know which attributes you want. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, that was a thing. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, that sounds really good. So yeah, how do you get started, Alan? Like, how do you get it set up?
Yeah, so it's preview. Obviously, it's preview at the moment. You go into the Entra portal. The new Entra portal. Sorry, Sam, you can't get to this via.
This week. It's like my New Year's resolution. Most people hit the gym or whatnot. Not me. I'm using the Entra portal from now on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so in there's a blade on the left hand side for it. What you can do is when you set it up, you can do it in effect like test or what do they name it? It's like non-prod mode basically.
Non-prod, yeah.
Evaluation mode, evaluation or production. What evaluation does is it allows you to do the verification check, prove that it can match users within your Entra in effect, but will not recover the account. So it's basically doing everything apart from basically flicking the switch to say recover, so you can prove out that it works, kind of thing, before you
turn
it on.
Yep.
And work out all the kinks and stuff like that. And then you've got production, which basically it will recover the account. Once you select that, you then specify the group or groups that you want to include and exclude. So there's no all users and exclude. It is you've got to specify the groups. So maybe you've got everyone that's licensed group, and you want to exclude the service accounts if they've got a license for some reason. If there's a scenario where you have to have a real count in that scenario.
Yeah.
Then you have to select a provider. So at the moment you've got identity verification by True Credential, identity verification by ID EMIA, identity verification by Auth or AU10TIX. I'm looking at the supported ways of passport, driving license, and other and other government documents. So to set these up, when you go to select them, you have to go and purchase them from the Secure Store, the new place for some of the security solutions.
Did you nearly say Secure Score Store?
Yeah.
Then yeah,
it's too made.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
that's where you buy your Secure Score points.
Yeah. Pay to win. Yes, so the secure store is where you go, and in there you can specify. Again, some of it is there's not much information around how much this service might cost and how many checks you have to pay for to to determine how much it costs, if it's pay as you go or minimum X amount a month. When I was running through it, I couldn't unfortunately set this up because my Azure subscriptions don't have a payment method on them because they're MSDNs or other, basically MSDNs for it. But in effect, there was trial versions for them where one of them was you could get 100 basically verified verifications for free or included in the month, basically, so you could try it out. But once you set that up, you can then go back into the recovery and then basically select it. And then once it's selected, that's in effect it configured. It's then just, those users are allowed to do it. They go to a URL and do the verification.
Okay. What about like geo restrictions?
In what way?
Well, like, can you say things like they can only recover their accounts if they're in the office in the UK?
I don't know, is the answer.
That was the first thing that popped into my head, because I was just thinking that, it might be a good idea for an organization to, secure, a registration of MFA, etc., and SSPR.
Okay, so if we go back then, so they may be able to verify their account, but I suppose in conditional access, you could specify that setting up of security.
Yeah, exactly.
So conditional access could do it from where can you register authentication MFA from, and say those regions, those countries that they're allowed to do that.
Yeah, so we don't need it at that edge because we've got securing security information registration further down the line. So if a bad actor was able to bypass the verified ID check somehow, we could limit it by, because I'm just thinking, to make this less scary for organizations, because this is a lot of trust, isn't it? In the third party provider and the technology, isn't it? I'm just thinking, how do you know?
The question is, can you do that to self-service password reset?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
I mean, you own the authentication methods. They're on your phones. You won't be able to re-register any new ones because of that. But
and I suppose
similar.
I suppose if we really think about passwordless, thought process here, all we really care about is the authentication methods, isn't it? Really.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, it's no different than that, really, is it? Because whoop-de-doo, you managed to change someone's password, but good luck registering MFA.
From an SSPR perspective, yes, but with the verified or the account recovery, yes, well done. You've been able to you've got their passport, you've been able to get past the security measures, which it's been deemed that it has to be 99%. Oh, I can't remember what the accuracy is of the face check. I think it's pretty high.
Yeah.
But if you were able to get through that, you then, when you go to set up your authentication methods, you're not in the right country.
Because this is the only thing. This is the thing that pops into my head, and I'm not saying I get why this is a thing, right? As in, it makes total sense to me. But self-service password recovery itself freaks a lot of people out, doesn't it? Because a lot of IT is I don't care. We'll manage that. Do you see what I mean? Because of the potential risk there. So I'm just wondering how you could explain the reduction, the reduction of risk, into this automated process. That's the only thing I'm sort of thinking of, how you would explain it, to somebody that's not doing it today,
Yeah, I think with this you'd want to provide some statistical information around the verified ID mechanism.
Yeah.
How accurate it is and how it works with those those third parties to verify the IDs.
Yeah. But is that, it sorry. Is it do you really think it's not worth smaller organizations even bothering with this? Like, do you think this is like a large organization efficiency thing? If I'm a 50-person company and I've got a 100-person company and I've got 2 admins, is it worth the time saving? I don't know how long does it take for an admin to reset a password?
I think
15 minutes, 10 minutes.
There's 2 ways to look at it, isn't it? There's the efficiency part, and then there's the actual verification, isn't there?
Well, So
it might be part of what your 50-person organization might be managing finances for larger organizations where there's where you actually want to make sure that if someone's resetting their password, it isn't Mr. Bad Actor on somewhere else.
Yeah, so... and it goes. I think I joked about it earlier that what IT person is actually going through that level of check. Is that what we're sort of saying is that this is the secure way to verify somebody's identity, and at that point we don't need the admin to check the box because we're relying on the
correct.
The check.
I mean, in theory, you're right. What's the point kind of thing, but at the same time, a small organization might be so friendly with 10 people, 50 people that they just go, yeah, sure, unlocked it, and crack on.
Yeah, and impersonation and spear phishing is
probably more risky.
Risky, yeah. Then that's okay, yeah, and I think that goes back to your point of the stats around how good the verification is, right? And how abusive help desk is such a problem, and it is a problem that is undeniable, in today's day and age.
Yeah, and with those providers, charging for X amount of like runs and things like that, I think there's a pay-as-you-go one. So you pay. I think there was one like it's 74. I'm going to say pence because the pricing you had was in UK, UK pounds. But 74 pence per verification basically. So in a 10-person organisation, if it gets done. Or
once a month, or
10 times a year, still not. It's probably still more efficient than ringing up the guy for 10 minutes or the person for 10 minutes for the help desk. Maybe.
Yeah, but I think but I don't think. I think the efficiency is just a byproduct, isn't it? Because what we're saying here is actually the face check and the document verification by the third party. Like you would for, any like HR onboarding process or whatnot, background check and identity check and know your customer check. It's widely used in the industry, isn't it?
Yeah. So this kind of ties into, and it could be used for someone joining your organization without providing with a password. They could all, when they turn up, they verify who they are to then get access to their account.
Yeah, we have seen, state-sponsored, new employees that have done that before, haven't we? That somebody gets a job, they're actually I shouldn't just say state-sponsored, but like, corporate espionage, industrial, like that type of scenario, So somebody might go through the process and then sell their login credentials on their day one to somebody else, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, because
especially for a remote organization, right, where you're not physically going into an office to pick up your kit.
Yeah. Well, if you've shipped out a laptop to somebody to start their first day and it's on Teams, how do you know it's them? If you
You want to verify that ID, don't you?
Yeah. Get them to do that verification. So even building it into that process, it's not even really account recovery. It's just like first day scenario there.
Yeah, well, that's what you're doing on day one, isn't it? You're taking possession of your account, aren't you? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I actually, yeah, when you think about it like that, it does make a lot of sense. To be fair.
Yeah, really I need to try it to.
Yeah, it does.
To get
I'd love
real
to
feel for it.
Yeah, I'd love to really. Yeah, because I do think it is such a sensitive process that I think people are. I think they will need to be convinced. I do think that is probably the word for it. Because I don't want to sugarcoat. People's aversion to, especially in smaller organizations, because the argument of efficiency won't have any weight, because the argument will just be repelled. It will just be like, well, I do it once a month. It takes 15 minutes. I don't think it's worth it. But actually, it's more like, well, no, the process of verifying somebody's identity is actually more secure statistically than a member of help desk. What is your current help desk process? Oh, well, they send me a WhatsApp and I just send them a new password. That's
Yeah, and we've seen it. The help desk might not even be local people. Not to say local people, but not part of the organisation. It might be an MSP or something.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
won't have any personal information to verify you.
No.
So
yeah, no, that's really good. And yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the only other thing I had in my head was, what about people that are like hybrid identity? External authentication methods, Active Directory, hybrid, Entra Connect, all of those scenarios.
So
does this sit the other side of all of that? Is it really?
So it doesn't really affect them in so far as if you're a password, it only really affects Entra and its authentication methods there. Yes, if you want to do a password reset, you require authentication methods, don't you? And if you don't have them, then you need to do the account recovery. So it doesn't directly, impact and do anything on premise identities, Active Directory, but the hybrid identities where they've got an Entra ID as well, where it's been synchronized, like you said, that part will gain access, will gain benefit from this. So because you'll be able to change or update your authentication methods. If you forget your password, you can't do self-service password reset because you lost your phone. You can recover your account to put your authentication methods on to then reset your password.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter how, if you're hybrid, as long as you've migrated to Entra being your frontline, identity provider.
As long as you've got a cloud identity, you are a hybrid. Yes, you'll be able to recover the account in some way. If it's just an on-prem account only, password write backs on, so you can do that. But if you just got an Active Directory account and you're not in Entra, then no, you're not going to benefit from it.
No, you're not. No. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I just think it's worth just talking about that, because I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are in that in between, that's supposed to be temporary, that's never temporary. But do you see what I'm saying? Like it is a big thing. And so we've talked about verified ID, these providers. What are we looking at cost wise? Do you have to license verified ID to get access to it? Because that's a separate bolt-on, isn't it, in Entra Suite?
Yeah. So from a license perspective, from what I'm seeing, because again it's in preview, so there's a lot of, I guess, give in what you can do at the moment with it.
Yeah.
But you only need Entra P1 license to use account recovery, so that's good, I think.
Yeah.
It does say you need to enable Verify ID and configure face check, which I believe the face check part is part of the Verified ID enhancement features, which is an add-on. But it doesn't say it like there's a license there, if that makes sense.
But you've got to have Verified ID add-on.
verify. No, it doesn't say that. It says you need to enable verified ID and configure face check. So anyone can configure verified ID. There's just enhanced features which are normally paid on top. So I think face check is part of that. There's an extra bit you do there. It uses the machine learning AI part of Microsoft to do that verification.
Right. Okay.
So I think there's an extra bit you may need to pay for that part. But again, the prereqs are not saying you need to have the add-on. It just says you need to configure it.
Okay.
So it might be because you're using the back end of the providers, that face check cost is being part of that, if that makes sense. Because it's all right setting up face check and enabling it, but I don't think you can use it unless the back end supports it, kind of thing. So yeah, we probably need to verify that part. The other sort of prereqs, I suppose, around this is you need at least a authentication administrator to be able to make the changes in the Entra portal, and you'll need a contributor or billing administrator and an Azure subscription, because that's where you pay for the verified providers through your Azure subscription from that side. So from a cost perspective, you need Entra P1. You may or may not need some stuff around verified ID, which you need to check that. And then you pay for the provider for X amount of verifications, basically, against them. Be it pay as you go, or you pay for X amount a month. If you believe you're going to get, if you think you're going to get 100 a month recoveries, you can pay for that up front on a monthly subscription, month by month.
Okay. Yeah. So.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and let's be honest about it. There is a third party there. There's advanced machine learning, isn't there? This is on the sort of cutting edge of help desk protections, isn't it? So there's an incurred cost basis there, so it's not gonna be free. But the P1 requirement is good, because that is a lot more people could have this if they really do want to protect that help desk process.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, no, really good. Yeah, sounds good. Anything else, Alan, that you want to talk to us about on that?
No, I think that's it. I was just gonna quickly look to see if there was something about the costs of face check, but I'm not seeing anything in my quick look. So yeah, we'll have to get back to the listeners just to verify that bit. But no, I think it's a really good thing. I do want to try it out and see what it's like. I mean, to be fair, if between me and you we do that, then we're confirmed whether there's other things you've got to pay for. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's going to be a very visual thing that you want to show people about the benefit, the ease, and the security behind it. I think you're going to want to run people through that process, aren't you? And show them it. I think that's going to be the real key thing to win sort of hearts and minds, for it.
Yeah. Okay. Just looking, there was something about setting up face check. If you use face check in a tenant with Microsoft Entra Suite license, face check is enabled on all tenant level for everything where it can be used, and configuration is applied to all authorities. For other licenses, so there will be some sort of cost there. You can enable face check individually by each authority. So I think there's a pay as you go for it.
Okay,
nice. But if you have the Entra Suite license, then basically you can use as much as you want.
Okay, yeah, really good.
Cool. Yeah, nothing else from me. So, did you enjoy this episode? If so, please do consider leaving us a review on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. This really helps us reach out to more people like yourselves. If you do have any specific feedback or suggestions, we have a link in our show notes to get in contact with us.
Yeah, and if you made it this far, thanks ever so much for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yep, thanks all.